Once it was the blessing, now it is the Lord. Once it was the feeling, now it is His word. Once His gift I wanted, now the giver, oh. Once I sought for healing, now Himself alone. All in all forever, only Christ I'll sing. Everything is in Christ, and Christ in it is everything. Once 'twas painful trying, now 'tis perfect trust. Once a half salvation, now the uttermost. Once was ceaseless holding, now He holds me fast. Once was constant drifting, now my anchor's cast. All in all forever, only Christ I'll say. Everything is in Christ, and Christ is everything.
I want to share today something uh, which God has been speaking to my own heart. So the title is Looking at People the Way Jesus Looked. Okay, looking at people the way Jesus looked at them. So uh, I was thinking about this thing about two at least 2 3 weeks onwards. I've been thinking about this matter, and God has been sort of ministering to my own life. And so, uh, when Jesus looked at people, uh, it was with a background, that He was uh, internally so humble that He could look at people, any type of people, whether it was Pharisee or sinners. Uh, he could look at them in the right way. So we'll just read. Um, I trust this message would be a blessing to you, all of you also, because you all are all young. And so we'll read first Philippians chapter 2, verses 6 and 7, where this message is based on. Philippians chapter 2, verses 6 and 7. It says, who although, about Jesus, who although he existed in the form of God, did not regard equality with God a thing to be grasped, but emptied himself. This is the NASB says he emptied himself. And in other translations like NKJV, it says he made himself of no reputation. He made himself of no reputation. Okay. Uh, just a minute, something in the chat. And another version in NIV, it says he made himself nothing. And Aramaic Bible says he stripped himself. So he emptied himself, or he made himself of no reputation by taking the form of a bond servant and being born in the likeness of men. So the first thing that uh, I wanted to talk, or which came to my own life, is that Jesus made himself of no reputation. Hmm? Jesus made himself of no reputation, it says. So he was not only humble, uh, he not only made himself of no reputation from the age of 30 to 33 and a half. That is where it is described in the Bible about Jesus. Okay. We know everything about Jesus from mostly from the age of 30 to 33 and a half. But he was right from the beginning, right from his, as he grew up, he was a godly child. He grew up in the fear and knowledge of God. So he had that attitude right from beginning. He made himself of no reputation, not only when he was in the ministry, but right from the time he was living. Okay, so you can say as a child, as a young child, he was an obedient child. Okay, and listening to his parents and helping his parents. But he was not boastful. There also he made himself of no reputation. Uh, his brothers saw him, but they were not very good to him, I can say, or they misunderstood him, even though he was a good child. Then let us see when he was a teenager. Okay, as Jesus grew up to be a teenager, he was the best teenager you can say in the whole world. He was a teenager of tremendous purity, and again helpful to his parents, and he knew the scriptures also. When he was 12, he knew the scriptures. So when he was a teenager, he knew so much of the scriptures, but he did not try to boast about it or show others that he knew. So there also we see that he made himself of no reputation. Nobody knew about him. Okay, about the good qualities that he had. Then let us say he became a young man in his 20s. Okay, there again he was a carpenter. So he must have been known because of business as a good carpenter, a hardworking carpenter, honest carpenter. Other than that, with all his abilities, with all his goodness, and he was probably the best young man you can say in the whole wide world on earth. But he made himself of no reputation. Nobody knew about Jesus in he was not a very famous person in Nazareth, nor in Israel. Okay, it's amazing, no? The best young man in the whole world is not known. Because why? Because he made himself of no reputation. So what came to me is that uh, what about me? I want to be known everywhere? You know, uh, uh, See, at the same time, when he was in his ministry from 30 to 33 and a half years, he became very famous because of the work he did, the miracles he did, the preaching that he did. Crowds followed him, but he himself did not want to be known. When they wanted to make him a king, he tried to hide himself. So that's the spirit of Jesus that he made himself of no reputation all the while. And so in my own life, I was thinking there is a tendency within me to want to be known by people, want to be praised by people, want to be appreciated by people. Yeah. In one sense, it is when we do something and when people appreciate us, it's okay. It's for our encouragement. We all need it. Uh, when somebody sings well and when we appreciate, it's good for the encouragement of the person who sings, or the person who shares, or the person who cooks some good meal, or the person who makes a nice drawing. So those are good for our encouragement. But internally, uh, if we have a desire to be known and have a name for ourselves, that is where we are different, where we can be different from Jesus. That's what is engaging my mind. That as Jesus made himself of no reputation, Philippians chapter 2, verse 6 and 7. So, so that spirit of Jesus, that he made himself of no reputation, he was always thinking of being humble and going down. So Jesus was God. See the way how Jesus went. He was God. He came to earth as a man. Okay, so that was a humbling. He came to earth as a man, and then as a man, it says he humbled himself to be a servant. He took the form of a bond servant. So he was thinking of serving, not to be served. So there we see he came in that way as a servant. And then further from a servant, he humbled himself to die on the cross. Okay, that's what the word of God says. So die on the cross means what? That death on the cross uh, was a worst type of death in those days. It's only for criminals. So Jesus died the death of a criminal, even though he was the holiest person, the purest person in this whole earth. He died as a criminal. So Jesus was always going down. That's why it says. Uh, that's why he says in Matthew chapter 11, he says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you shall find rest for your souls." Okay. So he said, "I'm gentle and humble in heart." And he says, "Learn from me." So this is one thing which really spoke to my life, that, that I need to follow Jesus and making myself of no reputation. So that is the thing. So when Jesus was having that attitude and that sort of life, then his whole attitude towards people also changed. Because of that humility, and he had a desire to serve people and not to be served, and to always have a humble heart. Then we come to the next point. Is the first one is Jesus made himself of no reputation. That is the first one. The second one is Jesus did not look down on any people. Jesus did not look down on any people. He neither looked down on the Pharisees who were hypocrites. He did not look down on them. When a Pharisee, when a Pharisee invited him for a meal, he went. So he never looked down on people, though he would tell the truth. So whether it was the Pharisees or the sinners would find it easy to come closer to him. The tax collectors, the prostitutes, all of them would follow him. So he would not look down on him. He would not look down on the poor, blind Bartimaeus, and that Canaanite woman. He would not look. He would not look down on anyone. Brothers and sisters, in my life, I was thinking of a great need in my life, that how do I look? Uh, do I look at people in the way that Jesus looked? No, I found that I I tend to look down on quite a few people. Somebody's microphone is Ashwin. Uh, so if we look into our lives, and when I look into my life, I can see that, yeah, this one, I have a different opinion, and so I sort of tend to look down on them. Because um, because they are not in the same par as status as myself. That can be one. Okay. Other thing is, maybe uh, a, a person may not look so well, look so good. I'm just telling some different things. Maybe a person uh, is not. I don't feel is very spiritual. Okay. There are so many things in our mind which make us feel uh, we do not value people. Talking about myself, huh? So that you also have it. I trust that we all have this, that we have some people where we have a negative attitude towards them because of something which is different from us. Okay. But that is not there in Jesus. So, uh, so we tend to feel that, that attitude of looking down on them. So looking down on people uh, is basically because of pride. Because only because of pride we look down on people. Nothing else. A humble person will never look down on people. So because I feel that I'm just above that person, maybe I'm smarter than that person. I know some things. Maybe I'm good in some particular thing. So then I think that person is not so good. So so I have a little less value about him or her. So thinking about all this, I was thinking in my own life, Lord, help me not to look down on any person. Jesus did not look down on a single person. Okay. He went so down in his humility that nobody, nothing more to go down. So the worst of the lot, he could look, not even look down, he could, because there was nobody else to look down. So that is a wonderful thing about Jesus, you know. So he died the criminal's death so that the worst of the sinners can be saved. Okay. So sometimes we feel, okay, some people are so much gone case in sin or something. Okay. That is another place where we feel uh, person is an adulterer or some person is an, we feel, and then we feel so bad and we say, oh, they are so bad. That's not the way. Another thing is that I find in my own life is uh, people who preach this prosperity gospel and wrong gospel and all those things. So I naturally tend to, look down on so much, look down on them. But that's not the way that God looks. Though I will not agree with them. Though I don't agree with them, though I will not join them, though I may even tell people not to join them. But in my attitude towards them, I should not look down. That is what God is teaching my own life. Okay, the uh, I mean, because I had the tendency to look down on so many such people. So I instead, in fact, I can pray for them. So that would be the better attitude. So, yeah. So looking down on people. Okay. Now, one great example in the Bible about a person looking down on the other is found in Luke chapter 18, where we know the story of the incident about the Pharisee uh, praying in the temple, and he's looking down on the publican. So the Pharisee is saying that, Lord, he's considering himself as righteous, and then he's in his prayer itself, he is looking down on that publican. So that is the nature that is there with each one of us, that looking down nature. And as long as we look down on others, we are not like Jesus. Okay, we are not like Jesus. So uh, in my own life, this message is basically for me. But as I am as the word of God is really speaking to my own heart and just sharing it to you, maybe it can it can help you also as in the young age, because these things are the thing, because that we want to become more like Jesus. Okay, and when we look at people, how do we look at them? Do we look down on them? I'll just show you some. Uh, Thinking about this, uh, will show you some pictures which uh, I'll show you some pictures which reflect this. Sorry. Here, here we see a person, a big man looking down. So this is the way that when we look down on people, this is the way it appears. We may not feel when internally in our mind we look when you look down on people, it looks like this. Is the picture clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then this is what C.S. Lewis says. Can you read this on your screens? Can you read
Yes,
this?
brother. Yes, brother.
It says, a proud man is always looking down on things and people. And of course, as long as you are looking down, you cannot see something that is above you. Okay. So, as I said, it's always when pride which makes us look down on people, and we are looking down on people and things. And when we are looking always down, then we cannot see something that is above, that is God above, and the things that He has to speak. Okay, we cannot hear that, or we cannot see that. We don't get the revelation of God. That is one thing, and we don't become Christ-like when we look down on people. Okay, so that is something which you can think about. And okay, you can see this picture here shows a auditorium. Okay? Yes, and the auditorium, it is just to portray about looking down and looking up. This auditorium has the platform at the top, okay, and the seats are below. So the speaker will have to look down while speaking, right? Which is normal, which is absolutely fine. But it's just only to say that that when he has to speak, he has to look down on the audience. Okay, this is just an example of looking down. Okay, and now then this is another auditorium where the platform is below and the seats are up, raised. It's ascending. So when the speaker is speaking, he is looking upwards. Okay, it is just to portray the looking down and looking up. Okay, so basically, uh, the my prayer is in my own life that Lord help me not to look down on a single person in this world. I don't know how much time it will take, but I want to be like Jesus. That I don't look down on any people. No? Okay, then now here this Philippians chapter 2 verse 3 says, "Do nothing from selfishness or empty conceit, but with humility of mind, let each of you regard one another as more important than himself." So this is something which a good spirit to have in our life, which we all, when after reading this, we may want it. It says, "With humility of mind, let us regard one another as more important than himself." Um, it's a very good attitude to have because we tend to think of ourselves as more important. But here it says that if we have the Spirit of Christ, then we will try to regard others as more important than ourselves. Not a very easy thing. It's not easy, but by our desire and prayer, we can have. So recently, in the global meeting with for working people, we heard Um, Sunil Poonen, while introducing his brother, Sanjay Poonen, he said something which really uh, spoke to me and touched my heart. He said that one of the greatest things that he finds in his brother is that he also must have heard of it, that he considers others as more important than himself. He values others, he gives his time and all that. So the younger brother says about his brother, he experienced. He says one of the greatest things that he found in his brother is that he considers others as more important, though he's a CEO and a big man in the corporate world. So that is a very good testimony to have. Not many of us consider others as more important than ourselves. Neither do I. You know, so it's something which we can have. Um, this is one more verse I would like to share. It says Romans 12:10. Okay. Can any of you read Romans 12:10? One of you can just read it.
Be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Give preference to one another in honor,
Okay.
not lack.
Yeah. 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 Give preference to one another in honor. Be devoted to one another in love. Give preference to one another in honor. So, in the margin of my Bible, it says, outdo one another in showing honor. And that is what is written here in this picture. Outdo one another in showing honor. Outdo one another in showing honor. That means uh, it requires a humble heart to outdo one another in showing honor. That means whenever we talk about somebody, we are giving them honor. We are they have done something, and we are appreciating and we are praising them and lifting them up. So it says here, outdo one another in showing honor. Showing honor. So uh, something which is needed for each one of us, including me. to show honor to the others. So this all comes with humility. Only if you have desire a humble heart, we will have this. Another thing which I heard, which particularly blessed me, was Sister Annie Poonen. When she was being when her celebration of her birthday was taking place in Bangalore, I think. So, uh, so a lot of celebration was going on. So she was saying, I am feeling uncomfortable, or I'm feeling this thing that that I will be missing God's reward. My reward will is I'm getting my reward here by people praising me, and I'll miss those reward in heaven. So she's so mindful of that. She's so mindful of the reward in heaven, and not wanting the praise of men on earth. See, it's very contrary to what people normally are. We all want praise. We all want praise. Yes. We all want praise of man. I want to be praised. And then when people don't praise us, we feel bad. Okay. Why they missed my name? So while sometimes when we make appreciation in my workplace and all, we appreciate people, no, and we tell the names, and then by we miss out without knowing, miss out one or two people, and then they feel bad that it's natural. We're not blaming them. That tendency is there for all of us. Oh, he didn't think of me. He missed my name. So that's the natural tendency within all of us, right? So uh, here is Sister Annie saying that I am you all are all praising me and I'll miss my reward there. I'm worried about that. I'll miss my reward in heaven. So, brothers and sisters, I want to say that there are some things that we do on earth in our life, uh, things which others don't know, but very good things, very sacrificial things, or something which will bless others. Sometimes it is not recognized, is not noticed by people. But remember, for all that, there is an appreciation in heaven, which is much more valuable. Okay. So when we have the desire to be humble and become like Jesus, then we'll be able to accept this thought and appreciate this thought. Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting all the praise here now. All my praise in heaven will be taken away. Jesus said, when you pray, pray in secret. Okay, when you fast in secret. Otherwise, you have a reward here on earth. People will appreciate you for praying. People will appreciate you for fasting. Jesus said, you'll have your reward in heaven. Others will have your reward here. So these are the things which anybody who wants to become more like Jesus uh, will desire. And I trust that all of you young people, you have the desire to become like Jesus. So two main thoughts. One is Jesus made himself of no reputation. It did not naturally come. He made himself. He emptied himself. He made himself of no reputation. Meaning that he was not wanting to project himself. That is the nature that we have. I want to others to know about me. I want that spirit is different from uh, Jesus made himself of no reputation. And then we become like Jesus. When we have that attitude. And when you're young and when you have this attitude, the nature of the life of Christ will keep on growing in your life and you will be a blessing. Other thing is not looking down on people. That is something which, see, we can now only, visualize the different people whom we are looking down on for something or the other. Okay. And there we have to say, Lord, help me not to look down. The ideal thing is not to look down on anyone in this world, just like Jesus. And how do we come there? Not by striving, not by struggling. No. Say, Lord, that is my desire. Take me there. And the Lord will take us. So that's in my heart that desire, and I want it to go. Please pray for me also. Uh, Thank you for your fellowship. I really enjoy your being with you all.